He was clearly just a rookie who had been in prison for only a few days, yet he dared to challenge the leader of the inmates on the chessboard. The leader didn't snap at him immediately. Instead, he seemed genuinely interested and asked him to demonstrate the steps to win. But when Nick tried to pull up a chair and sit nearby, the leader's attitude flipped instantly. In a place like prison, sitting together meant that the relationship wasn't bad. Lynch had no intention of letting a rookie latch onto him so easily. Although the game unfolded exactly as Nick had predicted, winning in just 3 moves, Lynch didn't give Nick a chance to speak, coldly shoving him away. At that moment, Lynch had no idea that this rookie in front of him would become his most unpredictable opponent. Nick wanted to get close to Lynch simply to seek his protection, because his roommate had already been reduced to a tool for the amusement of 3 perverts. Prolonged torment and humiliation had pushed his roommate's mind to the brink of collapse. He even secretly sharpened a toothbrush, planning to go all out against the monsters. But Nick, on the other hand, thought it would be completely ineffective. The next morning, his roommate sat tensely in a chair, guzzling water non-stop, yet it did nothing to quell the panic in his heart. The 3 perverts also began to stir, and Nick sensed something was wrong. He stepped in quickly, moving beside his roommate, intentionally knocking over his water bottle and forced him to strike back. Seeing the 2 of them scuffling, the 3 perverts had no choice but to temporarily back off. Then the guards arrived and separated Nick from his roommate. Nick had used his cleverness to shield his roommate from disaster. Lynch watched the whole scene unfold and realized that this rookie might actually be useful. Because he had caused trouble, Nick was locked in solitary confinement for several days. When he got out, Lynch personally came to meet him, reminding him not to meddle in other people's affairs in the future, and warning that being clever could backfire. And as he had said, the pervert's humiliation of his roommate became even more blatant. His roommate eventually couldn't take it anymore and chose to end his own life. With his roommate's death, Nick's nightmare truly began. The perverts set their sights on him next. Even though Nick didn't want to repeat the past, he had no choice but to sharpen a toothbrush, preparing to fight them to the end. Soon, the 3 perverts made their move, tailing Nick all the way and cornering him with no escape. Just as all seemed lost, Lynch appeared like a savior, dragging Nick into his cell. The perverts, fearing Lynch's power, had no choice but to reluctantly back off. Lynch described the situation as a chess game, except in this game, there was only life and death, no draws. If Nick wanted to break free from the perverts, he had to fight to the death. Otherwise, his fate might be worse than his roommate's. Lynch offered to help Nick deal with the trouble, but on one condition: Nick had to help Lynch break out of prison after his release. Nick wrestled with himself. After all, he only had 6 months left to serve. Lynch told him to go back and think it over, but the perverts couldn't wait. The next day, they dragged Nick into the bathroom, ready to torture him. Fortunately, at that moment, Lynch arrived with 2 of his men, saving Nick. From that point on, Nick could no longer stay on the sidelines. He was forced to join Lynch's chess game. Months later, Nick was finally released. He should have been stepping into a new life, but instead, he had to prepare to help Lynch break out of prison.